Good evening, my friends, and a Merry Christmas to you all. Wishing you all a very special Christmas. To you, your loved ones, your friends, your family. All the best to everyone listening to this commentary. And I prefer to do a commentary series because it's just easier. It's easier for me to make my own content this way. So I prefer to do commentary videos. And this video is about lions' function in the wild as a fighting cat and as an ambush predator. Now, lions in pride life, lions are born. Obviously, their father or fathers being part of a coalition. And between the age of 2 and 3, lions reach sexual maturity and they become sexually assertive to their mothers. When this happens, this angers the pride male, or pride alpha, or king, if you will, which is their father, or usually is their father. And, well, it doesn't always mean that the lion is going to be their father, because the lioness can still be impregnated by a male that ruled, and then another male can come in and take over, like after they're born, but they might reach an age where that lion isn't going to interpret them as a threat, because apparently if the cubs are over 9 months old, they become bigger, the lion that comes in to rule the pride doesn't really interpret them as a threat. But when lions reach the age between 2 and 3, that's when they start to become sexually assertive to their mothers, and that's when there's conflict within the pride. And then the pride male ends up asserting himself to the subadults that are being sexually assertive to the lionesses or to his lionesses, and then his tolerance point has a threshold, and once he decides he's going to kick these subadult lions out of the pride, that's it, he will kick them out. And he's more or less just going to tell them, I'm kicking you out of the pride now, I've had enough, if I see you again, you're my enemy and I'm going to kill you. So the lions, depending on how many brothers there can be a number. It can be between 1 and 4 usually. There can be 5 and 6, or numbers of 5 and 6, coalition of 5 or 6 males, but it's a lot rarer. It's usually between 1 and 4. And when these males are exiled from the pride, they end up, this is the hardest time period of a lion's life, because they've spent so much time in their lives hunting and developing their bonds with members of the pride. So it's a very hurtful time period for the lions. And really, they've had the luxury of just having their mothers hunt for them and just killing for them. Because the subadults, when the lionesses hunt, the subadults are very inexperienced, and because of this, it can compromise the whole hunting operation for the lionesses. The lionesses are expert hunters. The lionesses are experts at hunting. And I would say the males have a lot of expertise in hunting too, especially when hunting the bigger animals, like big Cape buffalo. Lions know how to kill them. So, but the subadults, they have this luxury of having the lionesses as a safety net. So when they get exiled from the pride, when the alpha male of the pride or king exiles them from the pride, this is a very difficult time period for their lives, because they have to start from ground zero and gain confidence with each kill, and they have to learn how to hunt themselves. So if you have a coalition of 4 males, they have to learn to hunt together, and they gain confidence along the way. Lions at this age, and I would say this is going to happen, it can happen between the age of 2 or 3. So it can even probably happen before they're 3 years old. They can probably even potentially get exiled from the pride before they're 3 years old. So, but I'm saying it usually happens between the age period of 2 or 3 years old. So, but during this time period, a lion could be exiled from a pride, depending on the consistency of the sexual assertiveness from the subadults. So, because the pride male is only going to tolerate it for so long, and he has a threshold of how much he's going to tolerate it, and then he'll just kick them out. So it's only a matter of time before they get exiled, and it is usually between the age of 2 and 3 that it happens. So beyond this point, though, the lions are developing themselves, not just physically, but psychologically, because, you know, I would probably say until the age of probably 5 or 6, I would say between the ages of 5 and 6, the lions are then, they're then fully developed, not just psychologically, but physically. You know, they have to spend a couple of years letting their mane grow, letting their mentality grow, because their biology isn't complete. They've also got to hunt more buffalo so they can get bigger and stronger. So this is not just development on the psychological level, it's also on the physical level. So this is a level of preparation that is preparing them for the adversity of pride life. And this is a means of lions that are in coalitions to assert their bonds with each other, strengthen their bonds so that they become a stronger coalition and be willing to fight for one another and die for one another. So this is around the age of probably, I would say, 5 or 6, the lions will be at the age where they're ready to seek out a pride. A lion usually reaches its prime probably at around the age of 7. After the age of 7, the lions start losing condition, and the process is pretty slow. The process by which they lose condition is pretty slow, but I would say it usually takes about 4 years, 4 or 5 years before they really begin to feel the effects of things. So at the age of 11 or 12, they start to feel it. And because they can't really adapt to natural selection forever. You know, lions reach that, they're not in their prime for long, lions. They're only in their prime for a few years. And they don't have the conditioning to adapt to natural selection forever, because that's why you see lions in the wild that are very skeletal in anatomy. It's because they lose their hunting capability, and by force, and not just that, they'll lose their fighting capability too. So I'm saying that they will starve to death, or they will get killed off by other lions because they don't have the conditioning to defend themselves, or they don't have the conditioning to hunt, to maintain themselves and feed themselves. This is a very adverse time for a lion when he is getting older. Unless he's got lionesses to hunt for him, he's in big trouble, because he's got coalitions of males all around him that are fresh and fit. And he doesn't even have the conditioning or by force to take down large prey like Cape buffalo anymore. So he's in very serious trouble if he doesn't have lionesses that can hunt for him. If he has lionesses that can hunt for him, then he can maintain himself that way. But it's usually not a good sign if he loses his hunting capability or he loses conditioning. It's usually a sign or an indicator to say that the end is near. But like I say, the pride life of lions, their social hierarchy of dominance is not a pleasant one. It is very savage, it is very brutal, and they do kill one another. The lion has probably the strongest procreative drive out of any other land animal, and that's why they're territorially the most aggressive and brutal. So they're more territorially aggressive than a bear or a tiger, for example. That's why their mortality rate is also higher. Even on an individual level, if we were to compare 100 fights of all three of those species, a bear, a lion, and a tiger, the lion's mortality rate. Fuck off, you stupid fucking Discord notification. Just one moment, I've got to disable the notifications on this Discord because this is burning my fucking head out, man. As savage as it may sound, the older males dying is actually what helps keep the lion population fresh. So even though there are legendary lions that have lived, they have lived their legacy, they have lived their time, they've had their prime, they've ruled over a lot of prides, they've been very successful in pride life. There is a point by which that is going to come to an end. They eventually lose conditioning. They don't have the conditioning to fight with these younger, fitter, tougher males that have not taken as much punishment, that are fitter, fresher. They're not as affected by the adversity of nature as the older males. So that is just a natural cycle of nature. You're going to get the younger males coming into their prime. You're going to get other cubs being born. You're going to get the older males that are past their prime. So it's just, and that cycle of nature is just going to keep going. The prime males will then become the old males. The younger males will then become the prime males. And that is just the natural cycle of nature. And that is just how the lion population stays fresh, as barbaric as it may seem. It's through genetic superiority that lions propagate their species. That is just how they live, and that it is a very brutal way of life. It is a very savage social hierarchy that lions are a part of, that every lion is a part of. And even within a coalition, even when you have a coalitions of number between 1 and 4 males, you can even have coalition members fighting with each other over mating rights. I mean, they won't kill one another. They'll fight. They'll be assertive, and they'll assert their dominance amongst one another in a way that is not obviously as brutal. But there could be potential injuries, I would say, in such a thing. It's not fatal or anything, but they will still assert their dominance and hurt one another. There still has to be I'd say there's more intimidation involved in it when you're talking about a fight within a coalition now, in regards to, as you would, in comparison to there being a fight between males that have oppositional DNA. So males that don't have the same DNA in pride life with lions are basically classed as an enemy. Any lion that doesn't have the same genetic code is an enemy of each other. And so really they will try to kill each other's cubs so that they can propagate with the lion. They can propagate their seed in the lioness and raise their own seed and, pass on that genetic code. But that's just what's instinctive in every male. So there is a level of gladiatorial competitiveness, and it is savage, it is brutal, it is something far more adverse than any other predator will ever know. People think that lions have it easy because they're group animals. It just makes things far more adverse for him. He's got hyena clans to deal with. He's got hippos in the same habitat as him. He's got crocodiles in the river when he crosses it. He's got rhinos, elephants. He's got hundreds of herds of buffalo that he kills regularly, so they're not going to like him. So lion's habitat is probably the most adverse habitat, I would say. Like, as far as competitiveness goes, I would say it's probably the most adverse habitat, other than the poisonous habitats that are in the world. I'd probably say the poisonous habitats are probably the most adverse, but in regard to competitive gladiatorial dominance and hunting and killing, the savannah is definitely the most adverse. It's definitely more adverse than any other habitat in Asia or any other habitat probably in North America. And that does not include the poisonous habitats. Now, coalitions between lions usually vary between 2 and 4 males. That is the common variation for lions, coalitions of lions. It's usually between 2 and 4. But there are numbers of 5 and 6, but they're a lot rarer. So numbers of 5 and 6 are a lot rarer than 2 and 4, or between 2 and 4. So you can commonly have 2 or 3 or 4 males, but numbers of 5 and 6 are a lot rarer. So when I said between 1 and 4, I'm wrong. It's between 2 and 4. So it's between 2 and 4 that you have. That's the common number between coalitions of males that lions can have. So, and yes, there are coalition wars, and yes, there can be lions left in a handicap when these coalition wars happen, because these lions will run away and leave the other one vulnerable to be handicapped by the coalition that is dominant, or the coalition that actually wins the fight. Then that lion is left at the mercy of those other lions and handicapped, and probably he will most likely have his spine severed and he will be killed, and they'll probably make very quick work of him. So usually that is what happens when you see lions fight when they're being handicapped. When there's like 4 males taking on 1, they usually sever the spine and they usually make quick work of them. In most cases, the handicapped lion is killed. So I'm saying, unless the lion has exceptional knowledge of fighting and protecting his spine and his abdomen by consistently rolling over to protect it, to protect his abdomen, by rolling over on his back to protect his spine, and then rolling and then getting back up after they go for the abdomen. So I'm saying, like, this is just the only way a lion can adjust to this level of adversity. Otherwise, he'll have his spine severed and he'll be killed. Lions are directly assertive usually. When lions fight, they're usually directly assertive to one another. Lions initiate combat directly against one another. There's no preemptive initiation of combat. It's usually directly initiated with lions. Lions do, however, have ambush capability as predators when they hunt, and they usually ambush when they hunt. They don't usually ambush when they fight. That is not something that happens. Lions usually directly initiate combat, and they usually only preemptively initiate when they hunt. So, but obviously the daytime isn't the best time to be hunting for lions, because obviously in the savannah it's very hot, the sun, the heat will take it out of them. The best time for lions to hunt is at night, because they have exceptional night vision, lions, and it's just cooler. So it's more strategic for lions to hunt at night, simply because they can see, I think it's 6 or 8 times better than a human in low light conditions. It's either 6 or 8 times greater than humans in low light conditions. So if you were to turn a light off and your eyes were to adjust to the dark, imagine that 6 or 8 times better. Lions literally have night vision, and it is just more strategic for them to hunt in the dark than it is in the day, simply because they don't lose as much energy hunting. Because obviously the sun's bound to take it out of them when they hunt. But lions do hunt in the day, they do, and they still are capable of hunting in the day. Surprisingly, they can. They work together. So it is so there's a higher success rate because of that. And but lions definitely they definitely have some endurance. But a lot of that energy is wasted hunting, because not all of lions' hunts are successful. Like I said, the subadults can ruin it for the lionesses because of their inexperience in hunting. But they have to learn how to hunt and learn the hard way. But they definitely can compromise the hunting operation for the lionesses, and definitely cost them the kill. So this is naturally just a way in which lions have got to learn to adapt and adjust to the adversity of nature when it comes to starvation, or the predicament of starvation. And lions in prides as well, they can play fight with each other. A big part of being in a pride is bonding. Bonding is a big part of lions. It's a big part of coalitions being successful too, because they need to have a very strong bond with each other. So bonding is very crucial to forming a strong relationship. It's setting a very strong bond, and this is very crucial to lions, being able to work together, being able to have a good relationship with each other. And not just that, it helps them practice their fighting skills and abilities too, in a very playful way. Lions that come in to take over a pride, when they're ready to take on a pride, when they're probably at the age of 6 or 7, these are known as rogue males, because these have not yet taken a pride. They've not yet ruled the pride yet. So they're known as rogue males when they come in. And yes, there can be a standoff between the rogue males if they have successfully dethroned the king, or the pride male or alpha male of the pride. If they have successfully killed them or chased them off into exile, then there is a standoff between the coalition of males and the lionesses, and it can take quite a while for the lionesses to be in full submission to the males. There is a standoff, and it can take a while. I would say in some cases it can take about 18 to 24 hours to take place. There can be intense resistance from the lionesses, and yes, obviously the lions also will move in and obviously try and kill the cubs. If the lionesses have any smaller cubs that the rogue males interpret as a threat, then they will not hesitate to kill them. But the lion is primarily a fighting cat. Even though they do have ambush and hunting capability, they are primarily fighting cats. It is the lion's primary role to protect the pride. Obviously, if he wants to choose to intervene and assist the pride in hunting large prey like Cape buffalo, that is entirely up to him whether he intervenes or not. It's his choice. It's optional for him. He doesn't have to. He runs the pride. It's his decision whether he does or he doesn't. But he's more than capable of killing buffalo, and he's more than... I would say the strength of the male is fundamentally crucial when taking down a big, powerful animal like Cape buffalo, because they are very dangerous and they are very strong. So the male lion plays a very crucial role in taking down the strong Cape buffalo, because the lionesses aren't strong enough to pull them down. But when the pride alpha male lion intervenes, he knows that as a consequence he could potentially get injured, and that when these rogue male lions that haven't yet sought out a pride or found a pride yet come in looking to fight, he knows that the alpha male lion king knows that he's got to fight them injured if he gets injured hunting the buffalo. So he is an honorable lion king because he is making more sacrifices for the pride. He is sacrificing himself to feed his cubs, to feed his lionesses. He's more honorable because he's putting himself at risk. And and he would still fight even if he was injured. If he was injured, he would still fight against these males coming in. But he wouldn't be able to protect his pride as efficiently or as well.